Hey, fifth grade, it's me, Mr. Mead. I'm probably at my doctor's appointment right now getting my shoulder checked out. Hopefully everything's going to be fine. I'm sure it will. But you are here in class wondering what today is going to look like with CKLA instruction, specifically writing. Now let's start with a really quick overview of what we learned yesterday, especially for a couple of kids who weren't here yesterday. If you weren't here yesterday, don't worry. I'm going to give you a really quick review of what we learned about. We read Chapter 10. Chapter 10 is about ocean currents and how the temperature of the ocean, the revolutions and rotations of the earth, wind, different factors where salt water and fresh water come together can create movement on the oceans that are known as currents. Some currents are temporary. If the wind is blowing and the water is moving, when the wind stops, the water stops. Okay, that's a temporary current. But some currents are more permanent. And those currents can form something called a gyres, G-Y-R-E-S. Gyres, I think is how you say that. It's a new word for me. But those currents will typically go in a circle. They'll go this way, around, just like a circle. Okay, those are gyres. And in the ocean, we've got 5 big ones, 2 in the Pacific Ocean, 2 in the Atlantic, 1 in the Indian Ocean, and they swirl. Ships can use them. To catch a current, it takes you where you want to go. Animals can use currents. Currents serve a lot of purposes in the ecosystems of the ocean, okay? So that's the big first main idea of Chapter 10, is about the currents, okay? Then we start talking about garbage patches, okay? Garbage patches. Now, garbage patches are exactly what you would expect them to be. They're giant patches of trash that we find floating in the oceans. You're like, well, first of all, how come all the trash in the ocean is together? And it's because of those currents. The currents pick up the garbage, and as it spins, the trash works its way towards the center, and then you've got this enormous pile. I mean, we're talking like miles and miles and miles of garbage, like in the picture on page 86. You can see it. And it's not only is it disgusting, it's harmful for habitats, it's harmful for animals, and as the plastic in the garbage starts to break down into smaller and smaller pieces, you can actually get something called microplastics, okay? Microplastics are fragments of plastic. It can be so small you can only see it with a microscope. And what happens is that some of the decomposers, some of the smaller animals, maybe it's algae, start consuming this instead of the natural food in the environment, and the plastic can be toxic to that life form, okay? You think, oh, well, that's pretty sad for the algae, right? Not so. Not just for the algae, that also causes problems for the animals that eat the algae, and the animals that eat those animals, the animals that eat all those animals, and before you know it, I'm going out for dinner with Mrs. Mead, I get a big piece of walleye, or maybe salmon, or tuna, something that comes from the ocean. Those microplastics are in that food too, and now it's in me. So the pollution in the ocean is not just something that affects one part of the ocean. It affects the entire ecosystem, and it eventually can affect the entire world. All right, so this is, in a nutshell, in 4 minutes, what we were learning about yesterday. Now, what can we do about it? Well, there are things that we can do about it. The interesting thing for me when I look at the details in this is that most of the trash in the ocean, it didn't start in the ocean, it started on the land. The wind, the rain, the snow, it blows it in, carries it in, flows into the ocean. The trash starts on the land. There aren't a lot of places where people just dump garbage into the ocean. That's pretty unusual. So maybe one solution might involve preventing the garbage from getting in the ocean in the first place. On the other hand, the garbage is already there. Maybe you're thinking more like, how do I get the garbage out? How do I use a giant net? Do I scoop it all up without scooping up seals or fish or other wildlife, turtles? How do I solve the problem to help get the trash that is out of the ocean, in the ocean, out of it, to make the world a safer and cleaner place? This is kind of up to you. We talked about different ideas in class yesterday. If you weren't here, you might not remember that. But think about how you might do this. Now, for kids who weren't here, probably the first step for you, you're going to have to jump out and read through chapter 10 as quick as you can, because this is not, I just spent 5 minutes explaining. You'll want to do a thorough read through of this, because now we're going to take some time to write about it. All right. And this essay is going to have 3 paragraphs in it. It's going to have an introduction. Let's talk about that first. Okay. Now, as you read yesterday, you should have some notes on 10.1. If this isn't out, get it out. Let's look at it. Okay. And then furthermore, if you're following directions yesterday, you did your outline 10.2. And we're talking about this first paragraph here. Okay, our introduction, and we've got a topic sentence, and you've got some detail sentences. This is where you are going to introduce the problem to your reader. You should have 5 to 8 sentences in your introduction, your topic paragraph. You need to start it with the hook. The hook could be as simple as saying, garbage in the ocean is a big problem. Okay, you've got my attention. What garbage? That's a very simple one. I wouldn't recommend you copy that one. It's really simple. Come up with your own. You could ask a question. Did you know that garbage in the ocean is a big problem? Maybe use that one, okay? But you'll come up with your hook to introduce the topic, and then give specific details to fill the reader in on how the garbage got there, why it circulates into piles. You can talk about ocean currents. You can talk about where the garbage comes from. You can talk about what the garbage is made up of. Plastics, primarily. That's one of the biggest problems, is the plastics, because they don't break down. They take, a long time before they completely decompose. And when they do, they turn into microplastics, and the problem's still there. So your first paragraph that I want you to work on right now for the next, let's say, 20 minutes, here are your directions. I want you to start by just real quick skim over pages 82, 83, 84, and 85, okay? If you've got time, maybe grab 86 and 87, just, look at those really quick to refresh your memory. I would say maybe 5 or 6 minutes, but refresh your memory about what we're talking about. And then, of the leftover of your 20 minutes, so like 14, 15 minutes, I'd like you to write your introduction. Your introduction should explain the problem of the trash in the ocean. Okay, don't forget to indent. Don't forget to write clearly, and use vocabulary from the book. So talk about currents, talk about gyres, talk about microplastics. Those are vocabulary words from the reading that make your paper better, okay? So 20 minutes on that. When you're ready to write, it goes right here on 10.3. Okay, write in pencil so you can erase if you need to. Indent your first sentence. You got 20 minutes. Pause the video and then continue after 20 minutes. Okay, so you got the first part done. We're now ready for the second paragraph. Now, to get me ready for the second paragraph, I'm going to flip back here to my outline, and I'm going to look back at my notes about the main ideas. In the book, this is where you're really going to want to focus on pages 86 and 87, and then 88 and 89. Down here, they've got some ideas of what people are already doing. You can look at page 90. It's basically the second half of it. So before you start writing, I'd encourage you to take 4 or 5 minutes, and you don't have to read every word, but skim over this. Look for vocab. Oh yeah, I want to use that word. Oh, I want to use that example. Different things that people are doing and then think about what you would do. Now remember, do not let perfect be the enemy of better. Okay, so just because your plan isn't perfect doesn't mean it can't help, and we shouldn't do it. So if you've got an idea to scoop up most of the plastic but not all of it, tell me about your idea. Hey man, we can get most of the plastic out of the ocean. Tell me how. You want to prevent the garbage from getting in the ocean in the first place? Tell me about it. Okay, oh, you've come up with a new idea, maybe where we're not producing as much garbage at all. Okay, now I'm really curious. Tell me about your idea. This is your body paragraph. Okay, so in your body paragraph, here on 10.3, you might also want to look at what you did yesterday, 10.2, at the bottom, body paragraph, okay? So your first sentence of your body paragraph, say, one of the best things we could do to solve this problem would be to what? Fill in the blank. Tell me what you want to do to try to help get rid of this trash or prevent it from being there in the first place. Your paragraph will have 5 to 8 sentences, okay? Make it interesting, be specific, and make sure you're trying to use the language, the vocabulary from the book. And please make sure you're writing neatly so my old tired eyes can read it. Okay, you're going to have 20 minutes to work on paragraph number 2. Start 4 or 5 minutes, skim over those pages, look at your notes, look at your outline, and go ahead and start writing, okay? If you didn't finish part 1, that first paragraph, don't worry, you'll have a little bit of time at the end. Just go ahead. We're going to work on paragraph 2 right now, and then hit pause, and I'll be right back for paragraph 3. All right, well, I guess you guys must be ready. Paragraph 3. This is our last 20 minutes before I give you a little bit of free time to catch up and do anything else you need or to type on your computer. Okay, so for paragraph 3, what do you need? This one is going to be your conclusion. And I've got a suggestion for you. On the conclusion, it should be on page 60 on your outline. I want you to talk about why we need to do this. Why is it so important? And there's a couple ways you can. You can talk about what's going to happen if you do your plan. Say, if we do this plan, it will protect the ecosystem. It will protect the food webs. You'll have, the turtles will not have plastic wrapped. I don't want to give you too many answers here, but, talk about the difference that it would make. Or you could do the opposite. Talk about what's going to happen if we do nothing. Okay, if we do nothing, the trash will continue. People, it might take, I don't know how long, like a billion, zillion years for a plastic cup to disintegrate. And we're making, we haven't stopped making plastic cups yet. The plastic cups are still coming. Well, oceans are big, but how many plastic cups do we need floating in the ocean? This is not getting better. This is getting worse. And so talk about that. You can talk about how your plan makes it better or how doing nothing makes it worse. Your last sentence should be your final thought. Maybe it'll be working together. We can, boom. Or you say, the seals of the world are counting on you. There's a lot of different ways you could wrap it up. But really do your best on that last sentence. Try to leave me with one last thing to think about that'll make your story memorable. Okay, you'll have about 20 minutes. For this one, you don't really need to review because you've already reviewed the whole story. But if you want to, go back in the book, look for vocabulary, and spend about 20 minutes composing your last closing paragraph, 5 to 8 sentences. Okay, you got this. When you are done with this, your teacher calls time. You have a couple of choices. Some of you thinking, oh my goodness, I never finished section 1 or section 2. Go back and finish those, okay? If you've got all of your sentences done in all 3 paragraphs and it's good and your teacher gives you permission, you may type it up on Google Docs. But keep in mind, you're turning in the handwritten one. This is what I'm going to grade, okay? So if you would prefer to read independently, you can do that if you have extra time, but you may not talk or mess around or go on other sites. Only Google Docs to work on this. Okay. I can't wait to read what you've got. You guys are some brilliant authors. You do a great job, and I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it tomorrow. Enjoy the next 20 minutes, followed by whatever time you've got left over. Follow your teacher's directions, and I will see you tomorrow. Good job. We'll talk to you soon.